Hi, this is Peter Billa from Shmoola.com. Today we're talking about the portfolio of initiatives. Now this tool was created by McKinsey & Company back in the early 80s, and it's an attempt to provide more action to strategic planning. Now historically strategic planning was very high level, and it didn't get to the execution level until a later phase. And so the portfolio of initiatives is an attempt to provide more execution and action, make strategic planning a bit more action-oriented. And so this is how it works. It's a 3x3 matrix where on the left-hand side you have familiar to unfamiliar to uncertain. And then on the horizontal axis you have 1 to 2 years, it meets current expectations, or it defends the core. Create medium-term growth, 2 to 3 years, and then longer term, it creates a portfolio of high return options long term. And the size of the bubble gives you a sense of how big the opportunity is. And so, for example, the bubble here under familiar and meets current expectations is something that we probably ought to focus on because it has a big opportunity. It helps us to meet current earnings and expectations, and we're already familiar in the space. Now, an example of this would be a company that's already in the industry. Let's say the company creates bagels, and so for that type of company, they may be just extending or defending the core of their bagel business. Now here on the other hand, let's take that same theoretical bagel company. Now that company may be extending into new lines of business, and so here's kind of it's an investment period for them. It's uncertain, there is high risk, but potentially there could be a big return, and so that's where initiatives down here will be. Now the shape of the 3x3 matrix and the bubbles in it matter. So here's an example. So if it's diagonal, going from top left to bottom right, it's balanced. In other words, your portfolio is balanced. If it's scattered like this, there's no focus. If it's like this, then it's very risk averse, meaning the company is trying to stay very safe with its portfolio of initiatives. If it looks like this, then it's quite risky. Looks like this, very, very short-term focused. Here, this is short-term focus, really no growth. And then here, very long-term and very risky. So that's the portfolio of initiatives. It helps us to identify our current initiatives and then allows us to map our initiatives against this 3x3 matrix to give us an idea of how risk-averse or balanced or unfocused or focused our initiatives are. Hope you find it helpful. Thank you.